Hello and welcome along to the On the Whistle podcast. I'm your host, Zayn, Nabbi. Welcome to our Rugby Africa edition. And boy, oh boy, does this show keep getting better and better because we have the Springbok women's coach, Swys De Bruin, with us on the show today. I know Swys from a long time ago when I used to cover his team in Durban called the Wildebeest, who played in a competition called the Vodacom Cup. And Swys, I'm probably more grey than you and my beard, but I'm not sure if you remember. There was probably you, the players, me, and one other journalist in the stadium.
Yes, I tell you, Zayn, when I saw you now on your podcast, you still look the same. It's only the grey spots on the beard, but yeah, it's been years back. Eh? I'm trying to think now. It's almost 20. It's about 20 years ago when we last worked together. So it's good to see you again.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are listening out there, Swys is one of the most decorated coaches in South Africa. I remember when he coached a Griquas team to a lot of success, and he had some players who would go on to be Springboks. He worked in the Shark system for a long time, worked with the Lions, and of course worked with Rassie Erasmus, the back-to-back winning Springbok coach. Swys, you are a rugby man through and through, and we've known each other for a long time. But for the listeners out there, just give them a life update. Where are you and the family now? Because I was listening to you on the Gabani Bobo podcast, and shout out for that. It's a great show to listen to, Keeping It Rugby. But everyone in the family seems to be involved in sport.
Yeah, no, look, we're living in Paul now. Now, Paul, for the people up there, it's a beautiful place. It's about hours drive from Cape Town. You can almost compare it with Kent or Seven Oaks, the distance from Cape Town, but it's in the Winelands. Oh, my son Neil is here, director of rugby at Paul Boys, and yes, we've got my wife and myself moved down here, and I've signed a contract till 2027 with SA Rugby, mainly to streamline the coaches from Rassie down, the SA under 20 coaches, so up to even the SA school guys, and then especially now everything to do with women's rugby and women's coaches. So it's a new challenge, but I'm loving it, Zayn.
Swys De Bruin, and in some ways that speaks a lot of your role in rugby. I've always known you to be a very cerebral rugby thinker. That's why I said Swys De Bruin, because another name could be used. Your brain is one of your best assets. We know you're a mentor. We know you care about the players, but very few people think the way you do. And I think it was beautiful when you had a broadcasting career that ended not so long ago, and you were able to share that knowledge and break things down for dumb forwards like me who were watching. So Swys, I got to ask you, what was it like going into broadcasting? What was that experience like being on the other side of the camera?
Zayn, it is. If you think coaching is nerve-wracking, you know those moments before a game. If you live on Super Sport, I tell you, my mate, and that producer comes down, and at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, action, and it's lights, and you suddenly realize you often feel the sweat running down your. It's really. That's real TV, those live shows. And being an analyst and analyzing games and stuff, you can't just talk nonsense the whole time. There's some clever oaks out there, you got to be on the game. And it's not getting edited. There's no, it's just what you get is what you hear. But it was fantastic. It was 4.5 years after I left the Boks that I was very fortunate to work at Super Sport. But then now when I got this job with SA Rugby, I had to make a pick, the one or the other, a bit of conflict of interest, because you can't work there and criticize everyone in rugby and then work at SA Rugby. So we had to make a choice, and we made the right choice for us. I believe in seasons. It was for a coach, 4 to 5 years max at one spot. You got to move on, and it's a new challenge. Now it's fantastic with SA Rugby.
What's it like being back in the hot seat, Swys? I mean, you're coming back to coaching. You have had some challenges in your career in the sense of, going to Griquas isn't a glamorous union, and when you were involved in the Lions, you weren't there when they were up. You brought them up, and you've got a very big project with the Springbok women at the moment.
Yeah, it's a fantastic challenge. I'm very blessed to be in this situation at the moment, Zayn. I tell you, when arriving there, didn't know last. It's about a year ago when I started with the program, and SA Rugby gave me their full backing. We're second on the priority list, above the under 20s and the sevens. So we really want to uplift the women's rugby. Yeah, so it is just when I started, the challenge, Zayn, was surreal. It was unreal. I had to know how women think first. I thought I knew how women think. I can't handle one wife, and I got to handle 40, more or less. So that's that's a challenge.
Maybe 40 daughters.
Yeah, I tell you what, they are so coachable, and you get so fond of them in the sense. A lot of them, firstly, it's a great opportunity for them with where they come from. Some of them haven't stayed in a hotel. Some of them, it's just unreal to see how they appreciate little things. We've got a couple of girls from the Eastern Cape and rural areas, so that is the first section to understand how women think and how they operate. I didn't realize they're so different from us, eh? From our men. We go one way. They've got certain things that happen to their body, literally, and you've got to work around that. And I'll come into after a game, half time in the change room, and one or two would sit and cry there, and you're not used to that. So the emotions play a massive role. But I tell you what I've learned with with the women, if they're happy during the week and they sing in the bus and they dance and they go crazy, they're happy, they play well. With men, you want the seriousness, you want the focus, a lot of focus, not a lot of talk, and then they're happy after the game. So we were driving my first trip in the bus, and I look at Bafana, my assistant coach. He said, "This is crazy, mate. We should have silence in this bus. We won't be able to play. Listen to the noise." He said to me, relax, Swys. That's the new right way. So I'm getting used to doing it all the ways. But they wonderful to coach. Easier than men. Much easier than
Easier
men.
than Interesting.
Easier.
And I know you say they're coachable, but I wanted to just ask a question because you brought up something that's so important. Mrs. De Bruin isn't your assistant coach, so she's not there to give you all the secrets to a woman's mind. How do you bring that into your coaching? How do you have somebody there with the lived experience, with the understanding of a woman's body? Like, how do you bring that into your coaching and management team?
Yeah, look, obviously there's a few things that you don't do. When you enter the change room, when you can't say that. So I make always, for example, I don't do one-on-ones. If I do one-on-ones,
Interesting.
previous coaches before me fell into that trap, and and women are a bit different. If they're not picked and stuff, they use personal stuff against you. And in the sense of I rather prefer to speak to a unit, say the front row as a group,
Sure.
and then talk to individuals. So they're all here. So there's no gossip afterwards as well. But the coach likes me, he doesn't like me. And you got to be very different with men. You got to pick your words much more wisely and be careful what you say, Zayn. Because I said to you, they think different. The coach doesn't like me, then they won't play. Where a man would say, "I'll prove you wrong." Uh, it's a different world, but learning the tricks. And I've got Loria now, September. She's a first official women's coach contracted by SA Rugby. She's awesome, with helping me with that. And I would say, listen, I'm worried about, say, Susie or one of the girls. She said, no, leave it to me. I know how to handle that. So you mustn't get emotionally involved. That's the bottom line. You just got to play the hands that dealt in front of you, and don't get emotional, and honest and open, and then it's wonderful. And as long as they trust you, and you trust them, it's really nice. So it doesn't sound like it's hard or a big problem, but you got to know Zayn, you got to know the traps. You got to be careful for a few things. That's not the case in men's rugby.
Sure. And maybe this will give you an opportunity to talk about some of those trappings. But for those of you listening out there, obviously the South Africans men team, back-to-back World Cup champions, world number one. The Springboks ladies is a slightly different story. They're 12th in the world, Swys. Um, there's a World Cup coming up later this year. You know, some of the top teams in the women's game are England, it's Canada, it's our old enemy, New Zealand. Um, we've got to be realistic with our expectations of our women's team, Swys. But what is the blueprint to get our women's team up there with the top nations and down the line emulating what we're seeing in the men's game? And also when we look at the baby Boks, for example.
Yeah, for sure. The very first thing is you got to play strength versus strength, and they got to get to their level. We had to play against Canada now in 2 tests. We're playing now the first 15 in 2 tests before the World Cup. We were just in the past used to playing Africa Cup games and teams at our level. So and then you never know what is the if you're a 10 handicap golfer. For you really to become good, you've got to play a lot with 1 or 2 or scratch handicap to understand the pace, the pressure is different, and the skill level. The skill level of this Canadian side that we played against it was just so different. We matched them with the physical side, but when it comes to the speed and moving players around, that's our big. Firstly, it was to get the conditioning right, which we upped a lot. I've got
Mm,
a very good strength and conditioning. Nasir. Nasir is brilliant with the conditioning. So they're hitting most of them their conditioning targets now. So we in the past we could say box, and if you compare it with boxing, we could box for say for a minute in around this 3 minutes. Now we're over 2 minutes now already. So
mm.
we're not doing the full rounds as yet, but we definitely improving and getting there.
So, Swace, we've obviously seen the development of the women's game in Europe, in places like North America, and the Antipodes really get to the next level. And this is, I ask you this question not to throw anyone under the bus, but historically, why has South Africa maybe not been taking the women's game as seriously as other parts of the world? It seems like we're on the right track now, but historically, why was it something that we didn't invest in?
Zayn, that's the mindset of a lot of the people. Even some of my mates would say to me, "Swys, that's not a woman's place. You know, it's a contact sport. It's not a woman's place."
Mm,
So there was the mindset which is totally wrong. They don't understand the laws are protecting them. It's a wonderful
mm.
sport. Sport where you get tested and grown under pressure. So it's really a mindset of the old narrative that a woman's place is not on the rugby field; it's somewhere else. And for us to change that now will take time. But trust me, my mate, it's changing rapidly, quickly and rapidly. You know what changed it a lot when I tell my mates as well. Like Mitch, I coached against John Mitchell a lot with
Yeah.
at men's rugby. And a guy like Mitch prefers now women's rugby. Robbie Dean said it's an eye opener for him. So from my side in South Africa as well, we're only 12 now, and those guys at the top, so it's easier for them. But from my side, it's just to change the mindset. And I must say the social media, and especially JJ Harmse and the press guys, are making a
Mm,
efforts. So like yourself now with your great podcast, it's all the people listen and they watch and they realize, shoot, maybe I was wrong. Maybe women can play rugby,
mm,
and then need in this country is them to start early, like when they like the same they do in the UK and New Zealand and all the countries you mentioned. We need to change that mindset by spreading the
mm,
word. And then super sport are fantastic. We had 2 tests now as curtain raisers for our great champion side, the Springbok.
mm.
Just by the way, aren't they unreal, those oaks? The Springboks, the men's side. So it's so nice for us to be on the same platform. And then Rassie last week said you want a photograph with me and all the ladies and him
Yes.
with all. Yes.
How brilliant
So
was that?
yeah, so every single one from Rian and Mark Alexander, and afterwards at the function with the men, we were there, and for the first time we were uplifted. So suddenly I get men asking me how the hell they get involved in women's rugby, and what what is the pathway? And yeah, so, but we've got a lot. We're realistic about the whole thing. We've got our own. We haven't won a game ever at the World Cup. Uh, so for us, we must go and start winning games at the World Cup and see if we can get top 10 first. But before we start getting that order right, we need to sort out our domestic situation first. You know, the Blue Bulls are professional. A lot of the players
Yes,
are from there, but
nobody else is, right?
they beat they beat everyone the 70, 80 points when they play. And so they never learn really to play under pressure and defend. That's our biggest work on us now as well. That's how, it's good for a lot of things for this. But we need more professional sides in this country. Good start. The Varsity Cup is playing now. There's a lot of more and more schools
Yeah.
and schools start. Yeah. And we've got an under 18 National Women's Festival. We were there with the girls. We went there and support them in Joburg. So it's you got to look at all the components getting together for this women's rugby to grow.
Yeah, I look at somebody like Ilona Maher, the prop for the US team. If I'm correct, she's the rugby athlete with the most following on social media, and she plays for the US,
Unreal.
so not a traditional Titan. So it shows the potential for women's rugby. And, when we get the equivalent to Sia Kolisi or Andre Pollard or Oxen Chair, I think, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, and you talk about Sia Kolisi, and what inspires the people in South Africa is now he's been about 5, 6 times at our practices. He's done the jersey
Mm,
present. And he just pictures like we would arrive at Loftus, the bus would stop there. Who waits for us outside Sia? So he's just one of the. He decided he wants to help me and the team to get on the map, and yeah. So I can only see growth if there's patience in the followers. I can only see growth because Rome is not built in a day, especially women's rugby. It will take a bit of time, but if we can just imagine. We haven't won a game at the World Cup. In some way, we can make a quarters. That'll be fantastic for us,
be amazing.
So
Be amazing.
and I can't see why not. I believe in miracles, so why not?
Absolutely. I should tell you, I was at the Miracle at Brighton all those years ago when when Japan beat the Springboks. So, Swys, I'll be waiting
One,
for you this autumn to see a Springbok women's miracle, and I can say I was there. But you've got this series coming up against the Black Ferns. It's really interesting. I saw Carlos Spencer talking about the series. He's one of the assistants to the Black Ferns 15, saying it's a younger, more like he would describe it a development team with some players that they can trial and they can develop. What are your goals for the series against our fiercest rivals?
look, firstly, Carlos, he will always play out to be the total underdog. They've got about 11, 12 all Ferns players. So typical Carlos, but what a great guy. And yeah, our aim for Canada and for these guys is to stick to our process, Zayn. Not to
Mm,
get caught. We want to beat Brazil at the World Cup in a month's time, and we want to beat Italy. And then, for that matter, can we maybe do something very well against France? That's our aim. So these are all just part of the planning. So we didn't look too much for now. We're focusing on our process to get our stuff right. We've got certain
mm.
principles on, and we want to get that right. That's why Dwayne Vermeulen, from a breakdown point of view as well, helped us as well. So that's our first thing. We
Oh,
couldn't keep
brilliant.
the we couldn't keep the ball in the pass, say, for longer than 5, 6 phases. We suddenly against Canada, we kept it for 17 and 13 phases. So suddenly we learn now what is contact continuity, what is go forward,
Mm,
and those things take time. So if we're going to focus too much on the opponents, uh, that'll be a big mistake. The only thing we want from the opponents that we can see how good what is the level that is required from us. What is a quick game? How do your opponents build pressure by holding the ball, and how tough is it to defend?
mm.
That so they learning. They really. I'm very fortunate to have Bafana with me as well. I worked with him at the Lions, and he's at SA Rugby as well. And Bafana is a very good defence coach. So So as long as we stay process driven and not focus too much on
Hmm.
the now, look, we're absolutely analyzing Brazil and Italy to overturning every stone, and that's our aim.
Mm.
So we're going to play. We're not playing just to win now. We're playing to get our house in order and get the processes right.
The South African DNA that we've seen is build a solid platform, physical dominance. Is that similar to what you do with the women, or do you have to adapt and play a different style?
Funny enough, because the men are our role models, the girls love their scrumming, and we've got a great scrum coach, and they love their
Love it.
scrumming. They love they don't want to play touch. They want to play contact. Small field is better than touch for them. Let's
Mm,
go. So the DNA is typical South African. The only thing that we still need a lot of work on is our ability to kick and for kicking space and kicking pressure. You know, Canada's average distance is about 52 to 56 meters per kick out of hand. I'm talking about the distance kicks where they want distance.
mm,
We were hovering around 34 meters, 36 meters if we're lucky. So you can't apply proper pressure if you can't kick well. So we often get caught in our own half and can't exit because of that reason.
mm,
I've got a Gareth Wright, the Stormers coach, as kicking coach, is helping the girls individually to get for the fly off must catch the ball and kick it downfield when we need it. So or the scrum off or the full whoever is the kickers. So that's a big work on as well. But the improvement is there. The willingness to work. You know, for men who how much time we spend on getting the kicker to kick far, they can all kick the ball far.
mm,
Most of them. So it's different. And I that love counter attack as well. I need to kick in such a way that we apply pressure. If they kick back, we counter. But we can't kick to apply pressure. So so how do you practice your counter now? You know, so
mm.
you so it's a snowball effect. But as I say, even in that department, we scored a lovely counter attack try in the first test against the Canadians, and I use the positive a lot. You know, with the women's rugby, Zayn, what I found out as well, with men, don't you can say don't do that, wake up, come on. With the girls, you've got to almost wait and catch them do stuff right. For example, if someone gave a good pass and it's a lack of floater and someone run onto it, you've got to say stop and make something of it. I'll give her a hand. Then they all want to do it.
Mm.
Then they all want to do it. So you know, it. But there's improvement. There's big improvement in the kicking department and the handling. Same with the passing, man. The passing initially it was we had to spend a lot of time and running, passing at speed and doing speed work in channels to get the hand speed up and to make sure that
Mm.
they had to understand that the ball is still the fastest guy in the field. You know.
Great philosophy. Swayze, obviously, followings come from characters and teams. So let me ask you a question and phrase it this way. In your team, who would you say is your Sia Kolisi? Who would you say is your Oxen Chair? And who would you say is your Andre Pollard?
Look, I first
It
got to
doesn't
say
have to be by position. It could be by more personality, if that makes sense.
I'd rather do it by position. I'll tell you why.
Sure.
Because if some of them listen now, and I didn't mention their names, but the other names. So let me start by saying that's why I'm very careful not to pick individuals or work on individuals. But there is for sure our sixth flanker is Ciso. Ciso is a Sia. Ciso has got the same characteristics, and she's good. And then you mentioned the tight end, Bibalwe Bibi. We call her Bibi. She's phenomenal. She's got a law degree and all those things. She's a leader. She is exceptional. She's a France Malherbe, as you mentioned. And then our player of the year, everyone knows it, is Nadine Roos. She
Mm,
can play spine anywhere. The spine meaning 9, 10, 15. Certain games I want her at 15, and other games I do prefer at 9. So I said to them to make that easy for us as well. 9, 10, and 15, don't be too attached to the number on your back because, you know, I want to make sure that we develop more spine players. So Livy Janssen van Rensburg, for example, can play 10 and 15. I want them to, and Eloise, I played Eloise.
so you like the idea of these utility plays, hybrid plays, Swayze?
Yeah, hybrid players, especially in the spine. I'm not stuffing around too much with my centers. They're hard
Mm,
carrying and gain line. We taught them properly about how to get over that gain line and certain things, how to run early, how to go out in or in out. Or so I'm trying not with the wings and the centers to hybrid too much, but for sure with the other thing is as well. I play with multiple scrum halves. If my 9 is not there in time, I want the 10 to move in and the 9 take 10.
mm.
So you got to
Creative.
do it. Yeah, you got to be a bit creative with those sort of things as well to make sure that if you want to play the phase game, that they're always there.
No,
So
that
yeah,
makes complete
but I don't want to, Zayn, I don't want to mention too many other names.
No,
I,
we'll,
they're all my princesses, put it that way, and they
of
love that.
course.
And they love it, and I always walk in the channel and say, "Morning, people of the palace," So it's about uplifting, and we're feeling great, and we're feeling good,
Yeah,
and then they
absolutely.
go. Yeah.
Swayze, I know you celebrate Christmas. I celebrate Christmas. When you're sitting wherever you are in the world enjoying it, whether it's in the North or Southern Hemisphere, and you're looking back at the year, what do you think would be a realistic achievement for your women's team when you're sitting there going, this is what we've achieved, and you're looking back and reflecting on the year while you have some eggnog and Christmas pudding or whatever it is?
If you can ask me that, and every individual player, my coaching staff and myself and the doctors and everyone, we make everyone a few percentages better. Just uplifted everyone and being better people, firstly off the field, and secondly on the field, be better players. That'll be a big achievement for me. Even now with players that I coach in the past, if a Victor Matfield says to me, Swayze, you made such a difference in my life, it's much more important, Chris,
Mm,
for me, than just winning or losing. If you made a difference in someone's life, Elton Jantjies is busy now with his own, he's uplifting a lot of kids with his own program, and I know his heart and how and that uplifts me. So if they can make a difference in people's lives through their through their rugby, that for me is a starter. And then secondly, if we can, let's talk competition wise. I'm still competitive. If we can firstly win a game at the World Cup and secondly qualify for the quarters, that'll be that. That would compare with for me with I was in 3 Super Rugby finals. We couldn't win one. That would be if we can make quarters. It'll make up for those finals that we lost in my Christmas world and being thankful at the end of the year. If we can have that, Zayn, it will be awesome moment. So
amen.
yeah,
Sis, amen. And and listen, I know we're fast running out of time, but it would be remiss of me not asking you a few questions about the box, if you don't mind. And one of them is going to be: you were once involved with the men's setup, and you were an assistant in Rassie's team. When you were working with him in those early years, could you foresee that the Springboks had the potential to win 2 World Cups on the trot when you were starting in those early days? Is that something you would have thought, yeah, this could do it?
can I be honest with you? I knew it.
Absolutely.
I knew it from the word go. He's just
Wow.
different. He's just different. The way he approaches the whole thing. He's not the stereotype kind of guy, as we all know, and he is. I learned for him, for example, not to do too much one-on-ones because you pick the head boy and the one that talks the best. It's all and his stuff like let the main thing stay the main thing, and then the biggest thing he achieved, people don't realize it really, is he's a massive nation builder. He made
Yes.
this. The stuff we went through in the past, Zane, in this country, with the
Mm,
old quota system and all that rubbish. Remember, now it's fantastic. That thing doesn't exist anymore. We're one loving big family. We're one country. So yeah, he did the things off the field right first, eh? I tell you that he did the things off the field right first, and his ability to get the best with his ways that he uses, and he's always got a trick up his sleeve. And the guy, you never know what's coming. With that oak, he's got a poker face. He's a lot of fun.
yeah.
He's absolutely. I think he's a. If you look back, you say about looking back of one of the top coaches ever in any sport. He must be very close to that. And I picked it up very soon in my 2 years with him there. And yeah, absolutely fantastic. And I think that they can even win a third. There's a third one on the way. Look at the under-20s, how they're producing under Kevin Foote now. And you know, South African rugby and the sevens with Philip Snyman. You know, we won that last thing now.
Mm.
So the the only ones that must wake up now is us. So, but we are awake and we're moving. Yeah, but to come back to your question, I think Rassie is just is one of a kind. You won't find that easily again, I think. And it was a massive privilege and honor for me to spend 17 tests with him. You know, in those years, fantastic.
Sure. And look, we're coming to the end of our podcast, so I'm not going to keep it much longer. But we obviously have two tests in New Zealand later this year where the Springboks are going. A lot of fans are getting very excited about it. If you've listened to this podcast, some of our co hosts have said this is equivalent to a fifth World Cup. We want to win both those tests down there. And there's a lot of South Africans who are rightly feeling confident given the progress to where the Boks are, given that we're world number one. We're back-to-back champs. But Swys, you're a voice of reason. And when we fans get maybe ahead of ourselves, how hard is it to win in New Zealand and to knock them over twice in a row?
You know, and I think it was 2018 or 19, we scored 5 tries in Wellington, and we beat them 36-34, I thought it was. And I thought it was a miracle. It's impossible. Because wherever you move in New Zealand, those years, it was just, they just the biggest little heroes that you can find. They're in every shop.
Mm.
You get in the bus driver tells you you're going to lose. You're playing the All Blacks. So, so that was the mindset. I think I can almost say it respectfully in Super Rugby as well. At stages, we were not scared of them. We gave them too much respect. And that's one
Yeah,
thing Rassie
I'd agree with
changed.
that. I'd
Yeah,
agree with
it
that.
was, hey, shit, you play the All Blacks. As long as you do well, it's okay. You know, just be
Yes.
competitive. You are playing the All Blacks. And now suddenly, I think maybe the whole thing has changed, Zayn. We're not scared of them anymore. Scared not in a rugby sense. We
Of
think we
course.
can beat them there. We can beat them away and at home. We can beat them anywhere. And the player
Yeah.
pool and depth that he's built. You know how many top South African guys has he built now? In the past, it was the saying that's exclusive for 23 guys and don't make the jersey cheap. And he was clever. He's building caps. We suddenly play against the All Blacks, and you compare the amount of caps and experience that we have. It's not a rookie side anymore. A lot of the
No.
guys got 100 caps, 80, 90. So for them to play the All Blacks again and facing the Haka is almost easier now.
Of
So
course.
you must never be complacent and must never write them off and always respect them. And that he installs. You can never ever think that you've arrived. That's one of the things. No one has ever arrived, and no one earns the jersey. But
Sure.
what he has installed is the belief that we can beat the best anywhere, and we've done it.
Sure. Sure. Sway's final question, then I'm going to go let you go have your dinner. I'm sure your wife will knock on the door soon. But I was reading some comments from Steve Hansen, World Cup winning coach with the All Blacks, and he said that Scott Robertson and the All Blacks can't beat the Springboks when it comes to an arm wrestle, and they shouldn't try. They should try to play to New Zealand's traditional strengths, just like the Springboks are sticking to what's in their DNA. Is there a team out there that can beat the Springboks in an arm wrestle? Is that something that anyone can do?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they all got wrong at this stage. We're still very good in the arm wrestle, and if say it's a bar fight, we'll win the bar fight. When it when it's ugly, we'll win that. But I don't think people appreciate the brilliant skill level that we've got in this team. If you look at our back three, that Colby
Yeah,
Arendse and Van Merwe, and then you find another one and
legend.
another one. So, and now you look at the under 20s, just to look at the player pool depth in our back three. So, and that's skilled players. Don't tell me Cheslin Colby is just in the arm wrestle. He beat you with his feet. Arendse beat you with one-on-one without you touching him. So maybe, just maybe, we have caught up and went past some of those old rivals in the skill level department. You know what I'm saying. So we can fight if we want and make it ugly, every ruck ugly as possible. But if we need to play and pass and catch and run and score tries, we can for surely do that. And then sitting with Rassie there with all his brilliant new tricks and ideas, it enhances the fact that we're not just wrestlers. We're not just wrestlers. We're rugby. We're a total team now. I think. Not. I think. I know.
I couldn't agree with you more. Swys, thank you for joining us on the pod. It's been a pleasure having you on. For those of you listening out there, please let us know if you have any questions for Swys. Let us know if you agree with Swys's analysis on the women's team or the Springboks. Hit us up at OTW_podcast on X and Instagram. You can also search for the On the Whistle podcast on TikTok, on Facebook and YouTube. Please like, please subscribe, please leave a comment, leave a review. I'll hit the mailbag really quickly. Our last podcast was around the Springboks and the review of their autumn internationals. And as part of it, we discussed the All Blacks and our rivals. And our analyst, Caleb Mtombwa, said that he believes that the All Blacks are badly coached. And we put that out there, and we've got some feedback from you because of Scott Robertson's inexperience. We had staunch NF6UD said, I'm an All Black fan here, and I totally agree. Robertson is doing very poorly. We also had Johan Blignout respond. He said, guys, I've watched Test rugby since 1960 and followed just about every rugby pod. This was a fantastic balanced discussion, adding meat to the bone and some nice humor. As far as flyers are concerned, I'm a Poly fan. We are blessed to have Marnie and Sasha, and I believe we can use all three. Then there's Moyo in the under 20 side. What a goal kicker. Rugby Mad responded saying, typical arrogant Saffers with their overinflated egos. Sincerely hope New Zealand feeds you humble pie fist. And we had MAF007 say, I do not believe this is true. Robertson is a good coach. I can see the All Blacks on the way up. If the Boks win, it's going to be very tough winning over there. Again, thank you for the comments that agree, that disagree, that are in the middle. We love to hear from you because, look, rugby is a discussion. And as we say, on the whistle, Rugby Africa is Africa's biggest bride. And everyone's opinion is respected and loved. We wish you well. Thank you again, Swys. And good luck this weekend against the New Zealand 15.
Yeah, just from my side, Zayn, what you're doing for rugby all the years and stuff is fantastic, my mate. You're a brilliant, brilliant guy behind the scenes, and thank you for your support. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely, Swys. And we'll be watching from afar. And because you're coming up north, we'll be coming to find you and cheering for the ladies.
Oh, that'll be good.
Ciao.
Thanks a lot. God bless.